All right, let's talk about what makes a good musical performance. And this could be in any musical tradition, could be in classical music, could be in jazz or rock or whatever. But just general things that make a good performance. So, to start, that obviously the musicians are well rehearsed, that they have gone through all the material, and that they are well prepared for a public performance of the piece. And so, depending on the, difficulty of the piece, it may take more rehearsals or fewer rehearsals. But just as long as the group is really, really well rehearsed, they're all prepared, they have everything down, all the music, and all the nuances and all of that, then I think that's perhaps the most important thing. Second of what makes a good musical performance is that all of the performers are sort of making eye contact and they are present on the stage, and they're involved, they're physically, emotionally, involved at all levels of the music, and that's where the majority of their concentration is. They're not distracted by external factors, like their phone or the audience or any of that. They're focused, and that they are well intentioned with their eye contact and all of that with the other musicians and with the audience too. Now, speaking of the audience, another thing is that the audience itself is engaged, and so that is wholly on the part of the musicians and the performers to make the audience engaged and to help them sort of understand the music that's being performed. And so that's another really, really important thing. If the audience is not engaged and they're not listening, then the performance is definitely a failure. Also tied into that is the fact that there shouldn't be any confusion, either on the part of the audience or on the part of the performers. And so that also ties into these last couple points about being well rehearsed and the audience being engaged. There shouldn't be any sort of confusion. The musicians should know exactly what they're doing, and not be sort of, oh, what's happening? I don't really know what's happening. So I think they should be engaged and have enough of a have the piece rehearsed enough that they are comfortable with it. And finally, what makes a good musical performance, which is really, really important, is that the performers are working at their fullest potential. And so that they're not sort of being lackluster, they are working at their highest potential. And it doesn't matter, if they're experienced or not. They could be very beginner musicians, but as long as they care and they are working at their highest potential, they are really, really trying very, very hard at this performance, then the performance will most likely be a success. And so I think with all of these factors, a performance should be fully successful. Of course, there are other things that are outside of the control of the performers or the audience, like the venue or maybe the acoustics in the venue are really, really bad. But even then, you can have a really great performance, or even if the instruments are really bad. There's an excellent example of that. There's this George Benson album called Alive at the Casa Caribe Club, and the pianist, I think it's Mickey Tucker, just plays what sounds like this absolutely awful upright piano. And the drums are totally like, it sounds like a crappy drum set too. All the toms are totally out of tune and all of that. And, it just sounds like it was, they were performing on, really kind of bad instruments, but they're such good musicians, and they were just, their solos are so ridiculously good, that it doesn't even matter. And so I think like there are things that can be outside of the control of everybody, and the performance can still be good as long as it has enthusiasm, as long as they're rehearsed, as long as there isn't any confusion. And so all these different factors definitely contribute to having a good performance. So that wraps up this video. If you think of other things that contribute to a good performance, please leave them down in the comments. But otherwise, please stay tuned for future videos. They come out every Tuesday and Thursday at 9 a.m. And so keep an eye out. And with that, please like this video, share it, and subscribe to this channel. So thank you for watching.